evening and welcome back to another episode of Mary's Book Club. Today I'm going to be reviewing The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Wow. Why did I decide to read this book? I believe I saw it via Renee Amberg. Once again, shout out to Renee. You know, she's my book plug or whatever. That's the first time I ever heard it mentioned, and then I saw it as a suggestion on Amazon. So I was like, you know what? I might as well just buy this because, like, it's been a lot of talk about it. So I added it to my Goodreads, and so when I was running out of options, I went and looked at books that I said that I wanted to read, and so I found it on there, and here we are. The gist of the book is literally at the front. A spellbinding novel about love, glamour, and the price of fame. Like, facts. This is Emily Giffin that said that, but it's a novel, right? So this is not the typical self-help that I always read. And so, you know, some of the quotes that I highlighted were just more like thoughts that I found it intriguing or things that I could relate to and things like that. It's basically about a woman in Hollywood in the 50s who pretty much lives a very complex life and indeed marries 7 husbands. But it's not just the fact that she marries 7 husbands. I think it's the storyline behind why each marriage occurs that I found very like captivating. Let me just see, because I didn't start highlighting until like later on in the book because I didn't really think I would go over quotes, but why not? I was bothered but not entirely surprised. I had quickly learned that John was only kind when he was happy, and he was only happy when he was winning. I had met him on a winning streak, married him as he was ascending. I was quickly learning that Sweet Dawn was not the only Dawn. I believe Dawn was second husband, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying not to to spoils, but I think I'm still going to put spoiler alert in the title just because, like, I might be reading some stuff that some people wanted to wait to find out. Celia, if you're going to be as big as you clearly want to be, you need to learn 2 things. First, you have to push people's boundaries and not feel bad about it. No one is going to give you anything if you don't ask for it. You tried, you were told no, get over it. And the second thing, when you use people, be good at it. Okay, Evelyn, little character, was very straightforward, you know. Do you love me, Evelyn Hugo? He asked. More than anything in the world. Do you love me, Dawn Adler? I love your eyes and your tits and your talent. I love the fact that you've got absolutely no ass on you. I love everything about you. So to say yes would be an understatement. Don pulled me close and put his mouth to my ear, whispering, me and you, we will rule this town. We were married for 2 months before he started hitting me. I asked for the check. It's on the house, he said, which I thought was the dumbest thing because if there's anyone that should be getting free food, it isn't rich people. Would you tell your husband I love the gun at Point Doom? The man said as Celia and I got up to leave. What husband? I said coyly as possible. Celia laughed and I flashed her a grin. But what I was really thinking was, I can't tell him that. He'll think I'm making fun of him and he'll smack me. People think that intimacy is about sex, but intimacy is about truth. When you realize you can tell someone your truth, when you can show yourself to them, when you can stand in front of them bare and their response is you're safe with me, that's intimacy. Facts, 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 facts. Men were almost never with me for my personality. I'm not suggesting the charming girls should take pity on the pretty ones. I'm just saying it's not so great being loved for something you didn't do. The photographer started calling our names as we walked in. My head was a jumble of words being thrown in my direction. Ruby, Joy, Celia, Evelyn, Mr. and Mrs. Adler, over here. I could barely hear myself think over the din of cameras, snapping, and the crowd buzzing. But as I had long ago trained myself to do, I pretended as if I was perfectly calm inside, as if being treated like a tiger at the zoo was my most comfortable situation. Man, Hollywood is something else. Like, I've always been convinced that it's not as glamorous as it actually seems. Women who collected red jewels seemed exactly the same as men who were desperate to have just one night with me. The world was about objects to them. All they wanted to do was possess. She said some pretty deep stuff. You know, for this to be a novel, she was quite a wise lady. I closed my eyes and breathed deeply, considering both how beneath me this opportunity was and how lucky I was to be given it. It's a hard business reconciling what the truth used to be with what the truth is now. Luckily, I didn't have to do it for very long. And of course, that's the easiest lie to tell. One you know the other person desperately wants to be true. What do y'all think about that? I agree. I feel like when you already know someone is inclining on a story, a narrative, it's so easy to tell that lie because you know that person desperately wants to believe it. So like women will ask, I wonder how he lied to me. Why did he tell me so long that he loved me when he didn't? It's because it was easy for him to do, knowing that you desperately wanted to hear that. Does that make sense? Anyway, who knows, he said. We're all whores, really, in some way or another, at least in Hollywood. Look, there's a reason she's Celia St. James. She's been playing the good girl routine for years. The rest of us aren't so pure, but I like you this way. I like you impure and scrappy and formidable. I like the Evelyn Hugo who sees the world for what it is and then goes out there and wrestles what she wants out of it. So, you know, put whatever label you want on it, just don't change. That would be the real tragedy. I don't know if I'm going to read you guys anything else. All right, this is the last one. Here's the thing about fury. It starts in your chest. It starts as fear. Fear quickly moves to denial. No, that must be a mistake. No, that can't be. And then the truth hits. Yes, she's right. Yes, it can't be. Because you realize, yes, it is true. And then you have a choice. Are you sad or are you angry? And ultimately, the thin line between the two comes down to the answer to one question. Can you assign blame? Okay, now let's rate the book. I don't know. Again, any book that can get me to get through it in like a few hours is a winner in my book. No pun intended. I love the story. I like how she's giving you insight into Hollywood, but still very like real and gritty. I just like the way that it's written. I liked everything about it. Even when it switched perspectives, it was easy to pick up. Does that make sense? And so I'm going to give it a 4.7. I'm going to tell you why. This is petty, but like, do y'all see this? I couldn't stand this. The cover just decided that it was just going to start peeling. Now that's nothing against the book, but it has more to do with like, I suppose, quality control when it comes to blah, blah, blah. But I suppose that's what happens when you get a paperback. I should have got a hardcover, but nevertheless, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful book. I recommend it. I think it's a good escape. If you're just looking for a way to get into someone else's story for the day, for the week, for the month, this is a good one. Per usual, I will have links to the book down below for the hard copy, Kindle, and audiobook. Thank you so much for joining me in another episode of Mary's Book Club, and I will see you next month. Ciao.